here at Marian. And I also have the privilege of beginning our time together in prayer. The prayer I'm using today is from Pope Francis' recent encyclical on fraternity and social friendship. And the title of the prayer is A Prayer to the Creator. So let us pause and remember that we are in the presence of God, and God is in our presence as we pray. Creator of our human family, you made all human beings equal in dignity. Pour forth into our hearts a fraternal spirit and inspire in us a dream of renewed encounter, dialogue, justice, and peace. Move us to create healthier societies and a more dignified world, a world without hunger, poverty, violence, and war. May our hearts be open to all peoples and nations of the earth. May we recognize the goodness and beauty that you have sown in each of us, and thus forge bonds of unity, common projects, and shared dreams. Amen.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. Those present in our beautiful theater here, and of course those that are online. You that are online probably don't notice, but we got new carpeting in here, didn't we? Thank you, Mr. Gender. It was getting worn out. Okay. Well, we are in a very pleasant and unique position here at Marian University. I'm going to talk a little bit about where we've been, where we are, where we're going. And I'm going to try to thank a number of people along the way with our vision of leadership. I want to try to point that out. If I don't mention you today, it doesn't mean I don't love you, and it doesn't mean you're not doing great things. It's just hard to get everybody's name in here, you know what I'm saying? So that's where we're going to head here. First of all, we're going to talk about some outstanding performance and welcome and what's going on here. I might just talk about a few things that are sticking out in my mind right now. And they're not so much in my mind, they're in reality. They just can't escape us. They're in everybody's mind. In higher education this year, in the late September report, there's a national publication came out about enrollment. Enrollment in higher education is down almost 5% across the board, the whole enterprise. First-time, full-time was down 16% in certain areas. The Midwest was hardest hit. Community colleges are down 23%. There was a slide, community colleges overall is down 9.4%, which is interesting because a lot of adults go back to school when the economy is struggling. Graduate enrollment was up 2.9%. I don't think so much in the Midwest, but across the country. I know John Fink and I looked at some fundraising. I think about over 65% of the university said giving was down significantly, double-digit figures. There's all sorts of announcements. I'm not here to talk about others' doomsday, but there are some doomsday events going on out there in higher ed. They're just slashing programs and people, not contributing to retirement plans, etc. And the interesting thing at Marian University, in every program, really, we grew the numbers. In a couple, we didn't hit our goal, which we don't like, but we even grew. For instance, in our two-year college, we grew a little bit, and the rest of the sector went way down. So again, I'm not saying that's okay. I don't want to get the wrong impression here. We like to hit our goals. But I would say in the environment we're in just about every aspect, we have more cash on hand than we've ever had. Our enrollment retention was unbelievable, and a lot of schools had a big drop off because of lack of in-class learning. That was very good for us because that gives you the income to run your operation and keeps building momentum for you. So if you just take this year's performance of Marian University, it would be a top 5 percentile performance in the sector of higher ed. That was my estimation. Some people might say it's 1 percentile, top 10% for sure. They were just an outlier. Mr. Ginder, our CFO, had a meeting with the rating agencies because we have bonds out in the public square and they rate you as are you credit worthy. And I think they were like questioning your veracity. Now they had the documents and they're audited, so they could only say so much, but we are an outlier in the good way. And I know y'all prefer that. So I would also say that we've been able to attract some really talented people, etc. So when the board met in late fall, by the way, the other thing, we have a lecture, and I'm going to point it out today. We are talking about growing, adding strategic new moves to our university. Will be Ancilla College will be part of us, and welcome to our friends at Ancilla College. We're growing and making strategic decisions. A lot of universities, their president and board administration are making tactical decisions to stay alive, to stay out of bankruptcy and those kind of things. So with this success, the administration talked, and I had a meeting with the board. Everybody that was employed as of the August payroll, August 31st, if you were there, we gave a pay raise in the first semester. It was fairly modest. It was up, it kept up with inflation. But we're going to give everybody at Marian that works for Marian full time a $500 bonus in the October, to put them not in October, March paycheck. Yeah, March 5th payroll. So with the enrollment coming in strong, we felt confident enough that we could go ahead and do that. So that isn't enough to retire early or go on a cruise around the world, but it is some expression that you take your family. Well, you can't go out to dinner even, can you? So it's like, excuse me, buy a roasted chicken at Kroger and have a hell of a time, okay? So anyway, we do appreciate the performance. I did want to mention a few people on the screen here. Deb Lawrence has been our right-hand person in managing this COVID thing. And by the way, she's a vice president. We're changing her title to senior vice president and general counsel, but been a tremendous administrator through this. I wanted to recognize David Hall. David, about the time all this was coming together, he takes over and develops our Inclusion and Unity Center, does a great job. But he also kept the 21st Century Scholar Program going until we could get our hired, and he did an outstanding job, and we owe him a deep gratitude here in the Marian University community. Ken Britt, I wanted to acknowledge, we could have had an enrollment really ding given the environment. And last year, remember, we did a thorough study of enrollment, marketing, how to restructure that. With all those moving parts, we did more than land on our feet. And David, actually, we had about a 30% increase in 21st Century Scholars, so I couldn't help but not recognize David. And Monique Ware just took it all in stride, and we were changing the rules and adding people left and right in the summer. And she just managed that, at least in front of me, gleefully and happily. I suppose she went home and pulled her hair out and said, that guy's going to drive me nuts. So, but just think of all the young people we helped that were in a tough environment, helped families individualize. This is a big place. We served 5,104 students last year. And to individualize your systems and processes when things come up. That's not an easy task. Greg Gender's done a marvelous job of managing us, and then he's been the lead agent on the Ancilla deal. And then I wanted to welcome Brad Wooker and, of course, Joe Haidt, our new chancellor at St. Joe, the first ever chancellor at Ancilla in northern Indiana. So welcome, Joe and Brad, and they're off to great starts and deserve all of our prayers and support. Now, what are we going to do next? Well, Denise Fieser, our board chair, and she had the idea how to do it in a COVID environment. Remember in 2015, we decided, well, we do 10-year planning here at Marian. Most people don't do a lot of 10-year planning. We like it because in higher ed, if you think about it, big gains take a lot of years, the big gains. For instance, on August 24th in 2011, we broke ground for the medical school. Well, it took a full 10 years. This is the first year. I even have a loved one that was looking for a new doctor, and she set up a practice with St. Francis as a full, after she did her residency from our first graduating class. So I can vouch that we have physicians operating their own shop now out of Marian University. It was groundbreaking in 11. If you don't take the long view in higher ed, you don't have a future. And so that's what we do. Now, every year we do an annual review with a lot of different leadership groups, including the board. The board does a leadership little conference, I would call it, and retreat every year, and says where are we at in progression in our strategic plan. We also believe in a 5-year refresh. So this is the year for the 5-year refresh. So last year, Denise Fieser and the board started having conferences with the various committees about the strategic plan. What looked like was a good idea possibly in 2015 should we possibly eliminate. They didn't just stroke of a pen eliminate things, but they brought things up for discussion. What should be modified? What should be changed? What's different in the environment now that's radically different than it was in 2015? So we've been doing that, and I have a bunch of, I won't go through it all because it'd be too many words for the screen, but eventually we're going to take in the next few months and some of the suggestions and take it to faculty, staff, deans, and leaders on campus and say, what's your thoughts? And alumni and other key groups, and say, hey, here's where we're at. Here's some of the things we're thinking about changing or reprioritizing or focusing or limiting or a strategic move we want to go down. What do you think? Okay? And so that's moving along quite nice, and I wanted to give you a little update on that. By the way, it was interesting. There's so much tactical work, individual decisions here or there in an organization, and actually, you can be a highly engaged, hardworking set of leaders and actually run your thing right out of business if you only work on tactics. You've got to have a strategy. I think back in about 2004 or 5, there started to be discussions on our board and with community leaders about, Marian College is very nice. We all love Marian College. But what if we built a great Catholic university in this great American city? The first time I mentioned that was in 2003 to one of our former employees. Well, he's a former employee for several reasons. But anyway, one is he looked at me and said, this will never be a great anything. I didn't like that. I filed that. I don't know where he's at now, but I wish him nothing but the best. And that was a different strategy to try to build a really good undergraduate 4-year college is a noble thing. It wasn't the strategy that was going to get us where we wanted. We took a bigger view of things. So in the next months, we'll take the details of this, but I wanted to highlight a few things that give us a lot of momentum. Dean Roski, there's really 5 great Catholic universities in the country, and our business schools rated with those. We're starting an engineering school. Folks, this thing is big. 400 and some students, top-notch math and science people on this campus. A $29 million building, that's still being negotiated. Probably shouldn't tip my hand on that. $3 to $5 million of new high-tech equipment. We can look at engineering in the two-year schools. Right now, we're leaning to recommend final business plans being put together by a board task force. Chem engineering, computer engineering. There's no chem engineering program in town. Civil engineering, there's no civil engineering program in town. Mechanical engineering, and I forgot something. Biomed, yeah, how could I forget that? Looking right at our med school dean. So this is a big deal. I didn't mention this, connected with our momentum. So not long ago, I don't know if you saw the newspaper article, in 2020, they published the top 25 philanthropic gifts in Indiana in 2020. The top 25. Now that's against Notre Dame, children, you name it. Okay, Indiana, Purdue, all of them. We had 3 of the top 25 gifts in Indiana. Marian, got it? Who had the biggest gift to the university or any non-for-profit in Indiana last year? Marian. It kind of gives you a sense of the pace we're on. Our endowment for the first time investments went over $100 million. In 2002, our endowment, and this is true, was $2.9 million. And we had 1,000 full and part-time students. I suspect next year we'll be pushing around 6,000 total students in the Marian University. That's tremendous growth. We have tremendous momentum. And we're being recognized as a good investment by a lot of important people. We're thankful for that. The accomplishments of our students, we already have OR scholars. We have students applying to all sorts of med schools and graduate programs. We have Fulbright finalists. The accomplishments are incredible. Dr. Anneking always reminds me in 2015 when we said we're going to double, remember our WIG, our wildly important goal, we're going to double our enrollment to 1,500. He always reminds me we only graduated about 713 that year, so we're more than doubling it. Last year we graduated over 1,000 students, and we'll keep that pace up. We'll keep graduating more and more students. It's actually a remarkable growth. It's nationally recognized as remarkable growth in a sector, again, that's struggling. And we can talk why in a second. Hey, look at that pretty guy up there, Evan. Every time we turn around and say, Evan, things are going to slow down pretty soon, then we get another $29 million building or something. He builds it. They're always on time, right? And he's staying married. We like that. He has beautiful children. But you know what's one reason I put you up here today? Do you know what he does part-time at night, Saturdays and Sunday? He's the chair of the board of the largest school system in Indiana, Indianapolis Public School. That's quite a commitment to our community. We always say we're a leadership institution, and it's easy to say, it's hard to do. So I really put you up there because it's amazing all the projects we've managed. On time, on budget, no big fights or squabbles, at least in front of me. And there's a lot of tentacles in these projects, okay? You're dealing with people here, you're dealing with people, all these crews, gets it done. In addition, he makes quite a commitment to our community. So I wanted to recognize you. You're doing an outstanding job. Kaido Wagner Hall, thank God we did it. The engineering school is going to bring a lot of new students. Where are they going to sleep, right? And then we'll focus our attention right away. We already got it going. Evan doesn't even have this one finished, and the next one built. We're putting our attention towards Doyle and say, what do you do with that next? And where's more housing going to go and that kind of thing. But, you know, we've probably spent in the last 18 years somewhere north of $150 million just on new facilities, let alone I told you about the endowment and then program startup money and look at our athletic program. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I did a little reflection. on this. I focused a lot this weekend. I was reading through. You can now on all sorts of resources, some of I've had for years. Why do good things happen to certain organizations? And when you study it and do the autopsy, you find a couple things. One, they're good at having a really large purpose. Okay? If you listen to Father Barry's homily on Ash Wednesday, it's very instructive. He had three really important things he thought we ought to do in Lent. One of them really caught my attention. They're all three good. One was to spend more time in prayer. Get a space, get a time, get a place, and reflect on your life, your calling, God's role in your life, and your purpose. Two, he said, give up something. And he quoted Dr. Matt Sherman, our great ethicist. I don't know if he's here. I hope he's watching. It's hard to get recognition from me, so this is a big day for old Dr. Sherman. But he spoke to a group here and says, you know, when you give up something, you make room for something new. So I'm going to quit doing this. There's space to do something good. But his last one, he picked up a red heart. And that's what made me think of this, a large purpose. Almsgiving is that, a lot of people think of almsgiving as, well, I usually give whatever amount every Sunday at church, and now during Lent, I'm going to give another, whatever, $10,000 or whatever. That'd be nice. Some people are very generous to Marian right now. We're pushing about 40, we're over $45 million already this year. And the end of the fiscal years, I mean, I think the most we've ever done is about 28. And we usually average 22 or 23, which puts us really high. It's just unbelievable, really. But the almsgiving, he said, make room in your heart for something bigger. Make room in your heart to be bigger. Someone you've locked out, somebody you haven't been kind enough to, something you could do extra for another. I always think of that as an institution with a large purpose, because large purpose gets great employees, gets great students, it attracts great giving, it attracts generous efforts beyond going through the motion. Athletic teams that have a large purpose win. Putting in your time to be lucky to have a 500 season. Institutions, by the way, I put our board chair and Sister Mary Beth there because, well, Sister's really good in her own right, but she represents the sisters. I think over the years, what really breathed this into our DNA here is the sisters. And right now, I would tell you, in my time of service to Marian, we've had an unbelievable board of trustees. If you look at our annual report, I mean, the board alone every year gives 2.5, 5, even sometimes more millions of dollars every year. And you're looking at 40 people. And 5 or 6 of them took a vow of poverty. So that kind of skims down to who's going to give. You know, they can't pass the plate to everybody, right? They just are committed to this large purpose. But what happens when you have a large purpose? Seemingly small things get done in a big way. How we greet a student and one another, and how we recruit talent. Little small things. You do them in big ways when you have big ideas about educating transformative leaders for service to the world. A lot of seemingly small things get done in big ways. Always teamwork, community. The prayer we had today, where COVID's made a dent in that, but this will keep thawing. We got to be together. This is the kind of institution with relationships. We got to get back in the classrooms, back in our teams, back in our meetings with faculty and staff, and be together. Innovation. Innovation takes courage, takes a lot of thoughtfulness, but an institution like ours that what some people might term as lean and mean, if you just say, hey, the legislature needs to give us $50 million for a new engineering school, we'll be waiting a long time. And everything we've done, we've had to be a little innovative, figure out how to do it with a little less resource, a little fewer number of people. How do we consolidate? And of course, it always leads to courage. And remember, the sisters had the sense of a courage to venture. It's in our history. Long history, recent history, and it'll be in our future. Persistence, staying at it, and a sense of hope. All of this that I show up here is foundational. It's in our faith tradition. If God calls you to do something, calls you a special purpose with your life and your institution, regardless if you're a believer or not, the person and message of Jesus Christ is an other-centered message. It's to do more. And that's ingrained in this institution and makes us the distinctive institution we are. It calls us to creativity, excellent stewardship. It calls us to be together, to belong to one another, and do great things. Long history, recent history, our future, these are the kind of things that keep emerging as you get to know the institution and serve here. I've used this quote before. I believe in it. William Jennings Bryan was also from Nebraska, so I feel a little loyal to him. If you know a little about him, he's a bit of a character, kind of controversial. The historians would know. So don't hold me to account for everything he did, okay? But I do like the quote, destiny is no matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. It's not a thing to be waited for, it's a thing to be achieved. We are in a unique position to choose our future. Some people are very trapped. There are 3 types of institution. Forgive the generalization, but I believe down in my heart and bones, everything I read, all the conferences, WebEx conferences I'm on, it's crystal clear to me. There's what I call medallion institutions that are decision insulated. Now, some of them could fall. I mean, Arthur Andersen and some other, like Enron, there's been all these great, mammoth, unbelievable corporations that now don't exist. Okay, so I'm not saying they're impervious forever, but great big public institutions with state funding and big endowments, they aren't going to be quite as quick and nimble and decision-making type people. And a lot of them, frankly, it's hard to grab a larger purpose with such a sprawling organization. And they're certainly, by and large, not faith-based. I mean, Notre Dame would be in that group, and they have a calling that's deep. Decision-capable institution, that's where we're at. We have a lot of choices to make. This is a critical juncture. You might say, hey, you said you have cash on hand, the endowment's growing, people are giving us money. I think it might be time just to kind of lay back and enjoy the ride. It's actually the environment we're setting in. There are some people who are in decision-capable situations right now that will soon be in decision constraint. There's probably 500 or 700 institutions of higher learning in that downward slope. I actually have a really deep understanding of an institution that was decision constraint and made some bold moves and got out of it. It's Marian College. Because right then you're really trapped. You have no endowment. We had about $8, $9, $10 million of debt. Almost every roof leaked, and the enrollment was down. And the spirit and hope and optimism was damaged, right? Well, we bounced out of it. A lot of decision-constrained institutions, all they can do is cut. And you're not going to cut your way to a great future. So we're at a crossroads, building a great Catholic university. Now we have to make really wise choices. We can't waste a penny. We have to consolidate our energy and our resources going forward. There's a Szymanski guy at Penn, he's been teaching higher ed economics and leadership forever. And I got in on one of his national lectures. And he said some things that I thought were pretty good. He said, if you take these first 3 items, he said, all he needs to know about an institution are those 3 things. I think that worked. These 3 things right here. That's all he needs to know. And if those are going the right direction, especially in the aggregate, one could be a little off, the institution's healthy. It's providing an excellent program, an excellent education, and everything about it. Am I okay on your little camera if I move around a touch? I felt constrained. So right now, we look at this, first-time, full-time students. How much were we up this year? What percent? 10, 12? Unbelievable in this environment. And we've been going up, and we've had little blips, but our whole thing is like this. In 2002, 2002, I think we had 185 first-time, full-time students. And we had basically no graduate program, maybe 12 students in the first cohort. So that's important. Retention, Ruth and Jennifer and that whole team, that's going nothing but up, doing really well. Discount rate, net tuition, we keep making progress. We'd like to continue to make more. Basically what that is saying, this professor says, look, if people who can afford to pay won't pay, you've got a product problem. Now, there's some people that might really want to be at your place, but they can't afford it. That's different. But you should be able to drive your net tuition per student up. I also like to look at this one, and we've made progress, but we need to make more. If you want to be a highly rated university, a great university, you graduate students, and you graduate in a reasonable amount of time. A few things we've done in addition to that, we've been innovative and courageous. We've gone out on a limb. Just the last 5 years, this year will be the fifth. We've 4 doctoral programs. That's a little unusual. And one of them's a medical school. So we've gone out and said, hey, this is a little audacious. We're going to go for this. Built new business school, one thing after another. Oh, every time we build more student housing, man, is there nerves crackling and whipping through the board, right? And me too. You hate to build a $15 million building and have it sit empty. You could be in trouble. But we keep doing it and we keep moving forward. The total growth in enrollment, we've done stellar there because we've added graduate programs. We're teaching, when I came here, I was told that by really good people too, do not go into adult education. That will hurt our reputation. We don't know how to do it. It's going to be embarrassing. Get out of it. Pull the plug. I'm glad we did not do that. If you looked at our income pie chart that Greg Ginner can distribute if you request it, we'd be in big trouble if we didn't do second degree nursing and adult ed and all that kind of thing. That's been very important. Resource acquisition, we're a top 5 percentile organization in terms of that. And that's what we're going to have to keep on because you're going to need capital to grow. We want to grow not just to be big. We think our mission, transformational leaders, the need to bring people in from diverse backgrounds to give innovative education is essential to the future, not only of our students we serve, but the professions we influence and the common good. So we're not going to quit. Now, it requires these things. Okay, so the board says, kind of paint a picture of Marian. Well, I'm not much of a painter, but I can list some things. Okay, like a phone number, 7 digits, plus prefix, of course. So I think we can remember 7 things. So here's what if someone said, okay, what's it going to look like in 2029? I would say, as an institution, not specific programs now. They said, just what's this place going to look like? All right? Well, I think what are people going to say? What's going to be top of mind? They're going to say that Marian University is a mission-driven operation. Do their bones. Those people know who they are and why they serve. And they know who they serve, and by God, they're good at it. They have a large purpose. They have big hearts. We're going to be exemplars in student achievement. That's not a bad idea, is it? That's why we're here. If our students aren't succeeding, all this is just talk. So do they graduate? Are they Orr Fellows? Are they Fulbright? I think we have a student that'd be perfect for a Rhodes Scholar now. She's only a sophomore. I can't wait till she moves along. We're going to have people be exemplary in what they achieve. And we're going to be innovators in education. You see, We have this center going to open next year for individualized learning. People come in all shapes and sizes. We used to just kind of measure their IQ and their SAT score, and they say, now, there's the special ones, the rest of them are laggards. We're finding out now people learn differently. If you give them the right encouragement and opportunities, they can do amazing things. We're going to be teaching online. We're going to be teaching people in other cities and states and countries. How do you do that in a lively way? Why would a person come here? We're not selling a commodity. It's not a transaction. We have to be exceptional educators. Engage their hearts, their minds, their excitement, how we do this. That's how I want to be described in 2029. We're not bereft of this now. I'm saying we got to go to another level. Student pipeline builders, that's why I have that pretty little face there. We're putting Dr. Jackson in charge of our pipeline strategy. We're going to systematically, and we're getting nice gifts for this, reach into middle schools and high schools and get kids from diverse backgrounds and engage them in this institution and show them how to learn and show them what a future would be. And we're going to build this thing so they're highly successful. You got to have a great director, 21st, that's one of our graduates. Did you know Dawn? She's one of ours. Over the 21st Century Scholar. This will be a great team. Jennifer Plumley, by the way, we're giving her a new title. She's going to be an assistant vice president for student success. Congratulations to her. She's doing outstanding. How are we going to build this pipeline? Well, Manuela's got the Latino initiative. We understand the demographics. We understand our calling, our mission, and we're going to build up. And so what? Then they say, how many students will be going to Marian in one way, place, or another? I would say if we keep executing, we probably have 6 or 7 institutions of higher learning right now wanting to know how they can become part of us, kind of like Ancilla did. There are different stages in the discussion. And we think we can do that, I wouldn't say easily, but it's very, it could very well be that at least. And we have to be top in resource acquisition. That's, forgive me, absolutely fundraising, but it's personnel, it's partnerships. We have our eyes on more land and buildings. We've got to have more partners, right? And we've got to deepen the partnerships with the school districts and with everything else. To make all this work, you have to have resources. Otherwise, it's a pipe dream. And here's a group. These folks will be key in moving us forward. Now, if they say to me, then the board said something to the effect, well, what programs will be proof of these things? Well, I don't know, but I'm proposing that, of course, well, I'm kind of out of order here. All right, where's the eclipse? Here we are. That connects to Dr. Turner. That's going to be a national exemplar. That was the goal. Recruiting diverse, talented teachers that are ready day one to give exceptional student achievement in our schools. Critical to the future of our society and each individual. Health sciences, we have a true executive in Marcia Casey leading that, getting a big strategic plan together. We have so much momentum there. People, when they think of health professions, they're going to think of Marian. They already do, but we're going to take it to a whole new level. All right? We can do it in so many ways. And by the way, each department is going to find ways to get into these institutional program priorities. Business management can get involved in this. Sciences can get involved. The social work program, the counseling program, you name it. It can really go. Okay, so the College of Arts and Sciences. I put Dr. Enneking up there. I know he's not the provost. Dr. Silva, I have your picture here. Don't get nervous. The reason I put his pretty face is he put his hand up and said he'd be our interim engineering dean to get us moving. And that's going to be the emphasis right now, right here. But going forward, we have to figure out some unique collection of majors and programs. We have a product issue. You've got to have a strong liberal arts base. It's in our mission. And there's pieces and parts. But one thing people will know us for, I'm sure, is STEM. Because of our healthcare and our engineering school and our math and pre-med, it's going to be there. What else will emerge? It's hard to have a strong great Catholic university without some kind of arts program, right? Theater, you have to have that. So we have to figure that out. We had talked about CLIPS, School of Business, have to have it. And now we're getting attention and rankings and building enrollment. And that has to be center stage when they say, man, if you hire someone in your business from Marian, they're leaders and they make a difference right away. Sondheim Scholar Program might be the most nationally prominent program we have. Get great students from all over, a number of states, and we're known for it. And we've got to raise the money, but we keep moving forward. The Walker Center. You say Marian University in 2029, you say ethics. They do research, they do training, people get certificates there. I'd like to think sometime we could have some kind of a degree in ethics here, maybe combined with medicine or business or other areas, but we can do some amazing research. Then one of the things right now people know is for everywhere I go is our athletic program. That's not a bad thing, that's a good thing, because we don't do athletics just to win and get more trophies. We say it is a terrific, terrific laboratory for leadership and character development. And under the right kind of leader, that's exactly what you get out of it. I have Patrick Riley up there because he's head of course, the Sondheim program. And there's our beautiful business team. But this group, I just used their pictures because they're associated with each one of these at this point in time to get it rolling. So that's going to be part of our brand when they say something. And I've mentioned this before, but we're going to study. At the Marian University, we're going to have different campuses, right? This campus, we'll take a look at when do we want, if we do want to, be a Division I competitor in athletics. It's going to be part of our people knowing us and our brand. It does a lot for you. There's a lot of studies behind this. Ethan Hemer's getting some good information for us. We're eventually going to take a systematic look with our board and say, when is the right time to do that, if it is, okay? Some things won't change in our strategic plan refresh. We're going to be a great Catholic university, same vision, mission. Mission, I'm going to suggest one thing we might do. Values, MU, promise. Remember, we did that big branding thing? I'd like to change it to the MU promise in our new. This is what we promise. And then the power goals stay the same. The material underneath it, prioritization will change, obviously. Provide an education distinguished in its ability to prepare transformative leaders for service to the world. And God bless her, Ruth Rogers is going to become the Senior VP for Leadership Integration and Student Success. Did I do it right? So when we think about making good on our vision, we're really going to rely on Ruth, and she's had such a track record here of pulling a good team together, working with people, and we'll have leadership development, athletics, student council, everywhere we're at around here. And so that's what we're going to stay with that. And then mission, to be a great, there's really three things in our mission it's easy to remember. Who are we? Well, we're a Catholic university. You know, for believers or non-believers, every other flavor of Christian, we, like St. Francis, frankly, want to understand the person and the message of Jesus Christ and live it out best we can. What that compels us to do is be other-centered, mission-driven, to reverence life, to see potential, to be a good steward of God's gifts. That's what we do here. That's who we are. And I put Adam there. Then we talk about teaching and learning excellence, right? Right there. Dr. Liz Osika, she's got a lot of people she works with, but she's directing the band in that regard. And the Franciscan and liberal arts tradition, that's why we have a provost, to orchestrate and bring all that together and develop programs that are powerful. Why is Chief there? Because he's going to watch and police these three. No. Actually, the reason I put Chief Richardson up there, I think he is probably one of the people on the campus when I think of someone that embodies our mission, the way he talks to people. He's even nice to me. And, you know, sometimes I run stop signs and things. He'll talk to me real nice about it. but I feel so embarrassed that I disappointed him. He has a way. And so I just thought he was kind of my choice today to be the embodiment of our mission. Don't be offended if you didn't make it. Our Franciscan values, they don't change. One thing I'd like to focus more is how we prayerfully reflect on that, especially in Lent, different seasons. If we did that every day as a community, we'll be a distinctive institution. We will stand out if we would live up to this. And Sister Mary Beth made a comment which I like. It's not only inside the Marian community, but it's what we project out in our service to others and how we put out teachers and healthcare workers, et cetera. It goes beyond just what we're doing. The MU promise, we'd like to get really good at everybody saying this. You visit campus as a donor, a potential student, their parents. This is what you hear. I'm going to guarantee you something. I will promise you this. If you come here, you will be challenged intellectually. This will be hard work, but you'll never be left alone. You come here, you're a student athlete, you got all this stuff going on. We're not going to lower the standards for you, but we will help you. We're going to get you where you want to go, and we're not going to do it by making it easy. We care about you too much. We have active and innovative learning here. You're never going to sit in a class and be bored. You're going to do education. Now, we all got to do that. We're going to have to know the research and how to do it, whether it's an adult learner or someone, high school kid we have here in the summer, or we're online. It's got to be innovative. It's got to be exciting. We're going to explore, we're going to challenge you to explore your faith, your values, your larger purpose in life. You're not going to leave here just with a degree so you can make maybe a 10 or 20% more than the other guy down the street without a degree. You're going to have a calling. You're going to be a leader. You're going to press on with a bigger heart. You're going to be leader, this, right? Trustworthy, healthy, inquisitive, skilled leader. We will teach you leadership here. Classroom, dorms, athletic department, student government. We have a pervasive commitment to teach you to be a leader. You will be professionally ready, and that means you'll get a good job. It'll be the job you want. You'll be properly compensated. Now, a parent and a student and a donor can understand this. It's really simple. We all got to say it. We've got to say it with a big heart and some passion. That's our future right there. Keep our promise. Mission and identity, same power goals. Look, I put myself in there. Look, that's me right there. I wanted to be on the screen. So, not that I don't get enough screen time, right? It's been very clear from the discussions over the years, and particularly with our board, I'm going to emphasize, as we decide what to put in our plan and where to prioritize it, 5 clear lenses to use. 1, how much does it contribute to our vision, mission, and values? Does it make us distinctive as a Catholic, faith-based, Christian institution? Number 2, is there really a need in the world? A lot of institutions have gone broke chasing things for themselves instead of solving a need in the world. And I think the board more and more wants data before we start programs, or keep putting money in an existing program when only 2 or 3 students apply to be in the program. It must not be fulfilling a very big need because people aren't signing up for it. So you can say, oh, well, no. Change it, make it better, consolidate, do something new. It has to solve a need. Is there a high value? Can we put together a high value response to solving a need? What does it look like? And then the board wants to know what's it going to cost, because there's no sense adding a program that we're going to go halfway on. Either add it, do it right, or stay out of it. The board keeps asking that. What is it really going to cost? And we only want to do it at a high level. In higher ed, anybody that just does average will have to be a very low-cost operator, and they'll be able to hang on. But if you can't do things that really, what's the calling in that? Where's the big heart in it? The 5 thing the board is asking, whatever we come up with our strategic plan, we've got to know how we're going to measure its success, ongoing and ultimately. I'm looking for blue oceans with y'all. What's the need? Students, professions, common good. What do we need to do? What are we called to do? What's a quality response, mission, programs, outcomes, and then show us the financial model. And when those things sync up right there, that's called a blue ocean. Red oceans are bloody. Sharks are biting each other. The cost is low. The outcomes are terrible. And people are just going through the motions. We don't have any time for any red oceans. Blue oceans are nothing. The difference, we're going to be action and urgent oriented. We're going to stay away from indecision. So many things happen in all organizations, higher ed, maybe even more so. We're going to keep talking about it. We got to move. We're going to be student-centered, not institution. Again, it's not about us. It's about serving students. It's about serving the professions. It's about serving the common good. We've got to go for depth and quality, not breadth. Offer a bunch of little this and a bunch of little that, won't get it. Pick some things and be, damn good at it. Transformative as opposed to transactional. And that goes top to bottom. How we clean our place, how we take care of our place, how we greet students, how we teach them, how we do research. By the way, I forgot to mention, on our mission statement, I do want to consider, people have told me, don't do this, Dan, you're opening up Pandora's box. Our mission, it says, we're dedicated to excellence in teaching and learning. I'm wondering, and some board members are wondering, if it shouldn't say excellence in teaching, learning, and research in the Franciscan and liberal arts tradition. Because we're doing more research. We always assumed research was in the teaching and learning, but some people think we ought to state it. And I think they're probably right, but we'll have a discussion. Focus versus broad. Innovation versus intransigence. We can't just keep deluding ourselves that what we did 5, 10, 20 years is going to fit today. We got to change. So that's what we're doing. I don't even know how much time we have. Is anybody? Are we done? So that's good. I always like that question. You got 4 seconds left? Hey, listen, this isn't the greatest environment questions anyway. So I went a little long, but we're doing this strategic planning. There'll be a lot more discussions on it. And as you go home or say your prayers before you go to bed, we should thank God for where we're at. A lot of hard work went in this, way back from 1851 and moving here in the Depression. And then we were, as they say back in Nebraska, lower than a snake's belly in a wagon rut back in 2001. That's low, by the way. If you've ever seen a wagon rut and how a snake go through there. We were hurting. And now we're thriving in a sector that's hurting. We're in a great city. We have tremendous talent. I'm looking at a lot of it right here. We have a large mission, and we have our faith. Our faith will compel us to move mountains because we see individuals a lot differently than just someone that pays us tuition so they can get some credits, so they can have something on their wall, so they can maybe do something worthwhile. We don't want no average physician, teacher, business leader, nothing like that. We want to be exceptional. And that's worth people donating like they do, and it's worth really talented people coming to our community. And let's just keep it up. Let's be mission-centered, called. Let's be very joyful and hope-filled. Always humble. Even when we're winning about everything in athletics, you got to stay humble. Got to consecrate our work to a higher power, and we'll get lost from time to time, and we'll go back to our roots, right? We'll prayerfully reflect how to get better, because we will mess up. We won't be perfect every day. That isn't about it. It's about staying in it, persistent, right? God bless. Have a good evening, and go Knights.